Hi everyone, Lisa Pinhorn here from Feeding Futures. And we're here to do something a little different today. I should introduce my sister first on the other side, or you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Lori Pinhorn, social worker and holistic nutritionist, and I'm one of the co-creators with Lisa of Feeding Futures.
Yeah, we're doing a little bit of a side-by-side video today because, well, first of all, we can't get next to each other. But we like this technology. People like it. It's kind of fun. But we had a really important topic to talk about because I don't know if people have noticed this, but everywhere on the internet, every single time I go on Twitter, people are talking about vitamin D. And I think people have been talking about vitamin D for years, but there was some really good research published last week about vitamin D, and we got really excited about it. So we thought it was time for us to really kind of dive into why we think people in houses with autism, anxiety, OCD, a whole pile of mental health issues, even Alzheimer's, they say now,
Yes.
why vitamin D is so important. So I'm just going to ask Lori a couple questions about it so she can help us figure out why we need to start thinking more about vitamin D.
It's a
So,
super exciting topic, especially for mental health. Like, it's very timely for us to be talking about it, especially since it's in the middle of winter here.
yes, yeah, exactly. I mean, I know when we were getting ready to shoot this video, Lori said, well, I could talk about vitamin D all day. I was like, well, we don't have all day. So we just pulled out some things that we think would be really useful for families and how to take a better look at the vitamin D, I guess. So, Lori, it's everywhere. Just give us the general idea about why vitamin D is something that we should kind of talk to our doctors about.
Yeah, well, let's just backtrack a little bit and just talk about what vitamin D actually is. So vitamin D is one of our vitamins that actually acts like a hormone in our system. So some people would even argue that it's not even a vitamin, that it is a hormone. And so every tissue in your body has a vitamin D receptor in it and vitamin D receptors there. And in the brain, we know that the area of the brain that sort of helps us live better with depression and anxiety actually has a lot of vitamin D receptors there in that part of the brain.
Oh, okay.
So what we know historically about vitamin D is that if you had a vitamin D deficiency, then that would correlate into improper bone development because your vitamins and minerals wouldn't be absorbed well enough to have strong bones. And if you had a vitamin D deficiency, there's a possibility that you might get rickets. But what we know now with some of the modern day research, and there is a lot of research about vitamin D, the Vitamin D Council, whose job it is in North America to help us sift through, the vitamin D research. Well, if you go on their website, they've looked at thousands and thousands of research articles. In 2011, they looked at over, oh my gosh, they looked at over a load of research that looked at over 30,000 people involved in vitamin D research. So we're not talking about small population researches or studies and things like that. This has been researched a lot. And what we know now is that vitamin D will correlate to other chronic illnesses, psoriasis, type 1 diabetes, other mental health concerns and things like that. So, and cardiac health and cancer. So they'll be able to link low vitamin D to cancer rates and all that. Some vitamin D experts are saying that if your family doctors are not talking to you about your vitamin D supplements, that it's almost negligent at this point because we know how much our body wants it. And this is the important thing. Your body wants vitamin D so bad that it makes it.
Right. Yeah.
It will actually make it. Now, it makes vitamin D from the sunshine. So if you live in a part of the world like where we live, in Newfoundland and Labrador, some scientists would actually argue that if you live anywhere in Canada, even in the summertime, you're not optimizing your vitamin D absorption because the sun doesn't actually sit in the sky high enough, even in the summertime.
Right. So we would need to consider how we would get vitamin D in us multiple ways: sunshine, food, and maybe even also supplements, right?
Well, I think that, sometimes the nutrition world and the medical world will say to us, well, reach for your food so that you get your optimum nutrition. And what I would say to you is vitamin D doesn't come in food very readily. It comes in fatty fishes and things like that. And you'd have to eat several servings of fish a day to get even the minimum recommendations for your vitamin D. So this is where we need to look for supplements. And, there's all kinds of different arguments about how much vitamin D do you need the daily recommendations are about 800 to 1,000 international units a D for a day, but that's basically so that you don't get rickets and other, illnesses. When we're talking about brain health, you need more than that. And
Right.
so, especially in the world that we work with autism and anxiety and things like that, we know that often a depression disorder or an anxiety disorder comes along with the autism diagnosis. And so this is just great brain health for you
Right.
to be supplementing with your D. And you got to give it time. Once you start doing your D supplementation, it's not like taking an aspirin. You got a headache and then all of a sudden it goes away. The research shows you got to do this for some time. But when you have it in the system, some real magical things will happen.
Yeah, I was talking with an autism mom the other day and asking her about how things are going, and she was talking about how they had started the vitamin D herself. She just read about it and went and did it herself. And then when she went back to her family doc, she said, "You got to start talking to people about this. Like my kid is
Yes.
doing so much better. The only
Yeah.
change we've done is the vitamin D."
Well,
So,
and I would suggest to any person who's watching this video, if you are the parent of a kid who is, dealing with some stressors and things, their parenting is on a different scale and it's more stressful, everybody in your home needs a vitamin D supplement. So don't just give it to your kid,
yes,
take it yourself. Like
yeah,
I personally take a lot of vitamin D every day and it really, it does make a huge
yeah,
difference.
I
And,
agree.
you know, let's just if we're just talking about above the neck, it's great brain health, but it's great cellular health. Your body wants a lot of vitamin D every day. And so, we do work with kids who won't swallow a supplement, right?
Right. I mean, the glorious thing about about vitamin D is that it's a drop, it's a liquid,
You can get it
and
in that
you can
form,
get it
yeah.
in a liquid, and it's tasteless and it's colorless. So we look at vitamin D in our world as, I call it the unicorn, right? Because it's doing all of this wonderful things for your mental health, your cellular health, and all that type of stuff. But it's also, while it's also really easy to get into your kids, it can be the first thing that you can start in your ritual of introducing, now we're going to take our supplements, because you're going to be successful with it. There's not, once you get past how you're going to introduce it to the child and say, okay, this is something that we're going to do every day. You can make it lots of fun. It's a bottle that you tip and you can, all those kinds, but it's a great way to kind of like, it's your gateway behavior to be able to add another kind of medication on the end of that, and then
Yeah.
another supplement on the end of that. So it's a wonderful, I do call it the unicorn, because we don't often get medications and supplements in our world that is liquid, colorless, and tasteless. It's
Yes, yeah.
beautiful. Mm,
So people have questions about how much vitamin D to actually take, because if you get on the internet today, they're going to talk about big warning signs about taking too much. And quite honestly, it is a fat soluble vitamin, so it does get stored in your body, but it's you'd have to be taking extreme amounts in order to do too much, but you can do too much. So don't just go out the gate and go pick up your D and start adding like more is not always better. And in
right.
this situation, that's one of those things. So you need to consult with your health professional about how to do this. And if you're already taking a medication that helps increase those happy brain chemicals like serotonin, which we know vitamin D really helps. Like there is some research that shows that taking that along with your SSRI or other medications can actually help.
Right.
So,
See your
this is
doc.
great. Yes, see your doctor. So,
Yeah.
you don't just kind of go out the gate and start taking too much, because, you just want to make sure that you're doing it to be optimum. And,
Right.
there's numbers to be looked at
Right.
here.
Well, see your doc who knows about vitamins and minerals, because not all docs do, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, this is great. I mean, if we, we're raising our children who are living on the autism spectrum and living with anxiety disorders and depression and things like that. And, the research shows that if you live with a mental health concern, your mortality rate is 25 years shorter than people who don't live with those kinds of concerns. So, we want to really optimize the nutrition for our kids so that they have, longevity and health and happiness, and they don't get cancers and diabetes and all that stuff along with the other things that they're living
Absolutely.
with. So,
Wonderful way to
so
end. Okay. Thanks,
have a
Lori.
fabulous day.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.